This is the Less Insurance Dependence podcast show with my good friend Gary Takas and myself, Narain Arul Raja.
We appreciate your listenership, your time, and most of all, we appreciate your intention to reduce insurance dependence in your practice. Our goal is to provide information that will help you successfully reduce insurance dependence and convert your practice into a thriving and profitable dental practice that provides you with personal, professional, and financial satisfaction.
Welcome to another episode of the Less Insurance Dependence podcast, your trusted source for insights, strategies, and expert advice to help dental professionals take control of their practices and careers. I'm Leslie Alvis, your co-host, and I'm thrilled to bring you another inspiring episode with a visionary leader in dentistry, Dr. Lincoln Harris. So, at Less Insurance Dependence, our mission is to help dentists reduce their reliance on insurance and build profitable, patient-centered, and fulfilling practices. Before we dive in, a quick message from our sponsors. Equa Marketing is offering a complimentary marketing strategy meeting where their experts will show you how to attract high-quality new patients, rank 1 on Google locally, and grow your patient flow steadily. So if you ever want to check about your online visibility of your practice, visit lessinsurance-dependence.com/marketing-strategy-meeting to book a complimentary session just for your practice. And if you're ready to create a thriving fee-for-service practice, schedule a complimentary coaching strategy meeting with Gary Takas at thrivingdentist.com/CSM. Now, on to today's episode. I'm honored to be joined by Dr. Lincoln Harris, founder and the CEO of RipeGlobal, a trailblazer in cloud-based dental education. RipeGlobal's immersive hands-on training programs are helping more than 85,000 dentists across 35 countries grow their confidence, increase production, and build thriving practices, all without leaving their clinics. So, in today's conversation, we'll explore how innovation and mindset are transforming dentistry, helping clinicians become more independent, efficient, and fulfilled. Dr. Harris, we're excited to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Les, thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure. I look forward to having this time with you today. And I think that helping people be independent of insurance is a worthy goal. So kudos to you.
Exactly. Thank you so much. So let's start with the beginning. What inspired you to create RipeGlobal, and how has it helped dentists take control of their growth and reduce dependence on insurance-driven models?
So the platform that we've built and continue to build, it was to solve our own problem. So our own problem was that I lived in a small village in Australia near no capital cities, yet I was running one of the largest training programs for dentists in the Asia Pacific region. Right. And so I had requests because of social media to be able to teach dentists all over the world, but I had no real method to do that except to spend my life on a plane, which is quite humorous. We'll get to why that's so humorous in a moment. But so I'm sitting there and I have some idea to take our training methods, our innovative training methods globally, but I don't really know how to, and I don't really have the time, and I'm quite comfortable and I'm making a lot of money. So my incentive to, I guess, try and find new ways to do things is quite low. And then COVID comes. So suddenly I'm not comfortable. I have plenty of time. And so literally within 4 days of COVID locking the border, I think it was, we had pivoted our entire company immediately to go, how do we solve this problem in a cloud-based format? Now, obviously, everyone goes, yes, but cloud-based education, everyone does that. But that's not true because everyone does knowledge. And knowledge doesn't teach you a procedure. Procedures are a technical skill that require repetitions with your hands. And so you can't teach currently procedures using a knowledge-based format. So you have to build a simulation training format. And so that basically was boiled down to the simple statement, if no one could ever fly again, how do you teach someone to do a procedure? And obviously, there is a certain amount of live patient training that goes on with dentists, but there's also a lot of preclinical, and all of the preclinical bit we can do with our simulation training. Now, of course, when we say that, people go, oh, but haptic feedback and VR. And you go, well, but why? We thought of that too. Like, why does everyone go straight to haptic feedback and VR? Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
haptic feedback is solving the problem of having tactile sensation. We already solved that about 100 years ago with plastic teeth. And VR is how do you make a simple solution really expensive and complicated? So, and so we rejected that method because right now that method is way too expensive to ship and to sell to a dentist. They're like $100,000 for these units. So we invented these training mannequins that are similar to the ones in dental schools, but they're designed to be shipped. And then we built an entire training method around teaching dentists to learn new skills in their own clinic. And the outcome of this is really interesting, which is that it's like a aircraft simulator. I was a pilot before I was a dentist, and I realized that if you want to run a simulation, you should make it as realistic as possible. Like if you want to fly a Cessna, the simulation should be a Cessna, not a Piper or a Gulfstream, and vice versa. And so the best simulation of a dentist treating a patient in their clinic is to actually train in their clinic, sitting at the same chair with the same handpiece, the same burrs, the same resins, the same everything. And what we've shown is that the implementation rate is 3 to 4 times higher than if you just go away to a institute-based course, and you get lots of emotional well-being from being at an institute-based course. You can catch up with your friends, you can have a party, have a hangover, all of those things, but you can't practice in a realistic environment. So the implementation of the procedures is much more difficult. So that was how we ended up here, just solving a problem of globally scaling training when you're stuck in a small village on the southern hemisphere.
Exactly. That's such an inspiring story, Dr. Harris. What really stands out is how you made world-class education and innovation more accessible. Many dentists struggle to grow their skills because of time constraints, and they just can't leave their practices to attend advanced training. So now you did explain a bit. If you can explain a bit more, about RipeGlobal's model and how it solves this challenge. So how does RipeGlobal's cloud-based training helps dentists continue hands-on learning without stepping away from practice?
Yeah, so there was 2 big innovations, and one of them I brought around before Ripe. So the first one was that dentists need to do a lot of repetitions. When you're building a skill in any field, you practice until you fail, and you practice until you fail. And you do that in a safe environment. So if you're learning the violin, you practice until you fail, but you don't do it in front of a concert. You do it in a practice room where there's no downside to making a mistake. But you have to make mistakes. It's impossible to learn a skill without making mistakes. And what happens with dentists is that they graduate, and they graduate with only a very small fraction of their skills. And then they often don't practice. So every time they're practicing, it's a concert. They're treating a patient. And so you can't experiment, you can't push the boundaries, you can't see what you're absolutely capable of because you can't take risks with an actual live human being. Yeah. So the first big innovation was to make hands-on training hands-on. Every course in the world, 90-something% of courses in the world have the same training model as dental school, which is a lot of theory and didactics, a demonstration by someone who's an expert, and then a very small amount of time is devoted to the dentist doing their own repetition, like maybe one. They do, 1 crown, 1 implant on a plastic jaw or something, but very small repetition. So actually nearly 9 years ago, our first big innovation was to push all of the didactics online. This is well before anyone else in the world was doing this. So you do all the didactics before you turn up to the hands-on. And then when you're at the hands-on, all you do is hands-on.
Okay.
And you can do, instead of doing 1 repetition, maybe you do 10 or 15 or 20. And that builds skill. And it also means you have enough times to make a mistake and then practice and practice and practice until the mistake goes away, rather than just being an intellectual exercise. It's actually a skill exercise.
Mm.
And then the second innovation was to develop a method for using our simulation mannequins that are designed to attach to your dental chair. So that was what we built during 2020. So there's the mannequins, and then there's the software, and then there's the method. So there's those 3 pieces. The mannequins are designed, they're a bit like a dental school mannequin, but they're designed to sit on your own dental chair rather than in a sim lab. And that way you can use all of the things and sit in the same environment that you normally do. So maybe it's like less social, but it's more effective. And then the second part is there's no specialized software for teaching procedures. So we had to build that. So we've built specialized software for teaching procedures. And then the third part is the method of training is very different, because all courses are not designed about when it's the best time to learn something, but when you have flown somewhere. And so we are able to decouple the learning from when you're at a place. So we don't have to go, well, we have to cram all of this information into 2 days because that's when you flew to Arizona or to Florida or to wherever. So those were the 3 things that we had to develop, and then we've refined and refined and refined. And now we're at the point where we have prototyped and we're getting ready to put into production mannequins that have sensors enabled so that you can actually get real-time feedback while you're actually working. So as you're working, your computer screen in front of you is giving you useful metrics to tell you how you're doing and how you can get better. So that's kind of the 3 components. And the reason we don't need VR and haptic feedback is because VR and haptic feedback costs more than a mannequin. And a mannequin is actually a real physical object that you can practice on. Now, yes, you go through teeth, you go through, I don't know, like in a typical hands-on, you might go through $100 worth of teeth, but you get a lot of repetitions for $100. And until we get haptic feedback and VR down to, I guess less than $1,000, where we're not going to be using it for a long time. And also, it's haptic feedback doesn't yet give you the same experience as a real thing. Once it does, it'll be so cheap that we can use that too, but it'll still come down to software, method, and experience. So that's basically how the actual method works.
Exactly. I mean, that's a powerful way to blend technology with real-world application. But beyond the technical training, you often speak about the importance of mindset. Let's dive into that. What mental shifts do dentists need to make to truly grow and become less dependent on insurance?
Yeah, this is super interesting. And the longer I do this, the more interesting it gets. Dental schools are very good at graduating people who are technically competent, but whose self-esteem has been crushed, who have been taught to have perfectionism either to get into dental school or to get through dental school, and to have a severe difficulty with failure and with actually doing procedures. So there's a whole bunch of people at dental schools who basically spend the whole time telling dentists that procedures are bad. So you graduate and you feel like procedures are wicked. And then the second part is difficult for dentists, is that they have to get used to the fact that they are profiting from someone else's problems. Now, almost everyone does profit. Like literally, how do you make profit? You solve problems. So every dentist, every business in the world makes profit by solving problems. But dentists often feel really super guilty about the fact that they are profiting by solving a problem. So there's several aspects to this, but to building the self-esteem, the confidence, and the leadership skills of a dentist is super interesting. Part of it is just skill. As a dentist, you are selling your procedural or surgical skill. That's literally the product. You are the product. And so if you don't believe in your product, it's very difficult to sell. And so we typically see dentists struggle with like the cost side of dentistry because they literally don't think they're worth it. Very hard. And this is why they like gravitate towards insurance, because they go, well, I'm not actually worth, like my skills are not good enough. I don't believe in them. So how can I charge someone for this? So part of it is you need the skill. Like you need to go, I actually can do this procedure. I can do it well. I know I can do it well. And that helps. The second one is leadership. Dentists aren't taught things like decisiveness. You know, leaders actually don't know the answer for sure either. They just make a decision. And so dentists, because they have a fear of failure and they've been taught perfectionism, from their point of view, they have to make the right decision rather than make a decision. And as a leader, you learn over time that it's important. The most important thing about decisions in most cases is to make one and to make it decisively. And the risk of not making it decisively often outweighs the risk of you making a wrong decision. There's a cost to delay and there's a cost to agonizing and there's a cost to not being able to decide. So those are some of the things that, and it's such a big issue that we've actually built, even though we teach the skills online and the skills via simulation, we basically have an alignment training for all of our dentists now, where we bring them all together before they start any course or program, and we teach them communication, we teach them diagnosis, like how to be effective at consulting with a patient, how to get the patient to sell the treatment to themselves by the questions that you ask, how to lead a patient rather than push, how to be in, high levels of service clinically and otherwise to the patient. So we actually have to get all the dentists together first to align them on the human side of dentistry before we can teach them the hard skill. Because if you don't solve these mindset, self-esteem, leadership, communication issues, money issues, then you actually can't teach a dentist a skill. Because to learn a skill, foundation. To learn a skill, you actually have to be able to sell it or to get acceptance, case acceptance. And if you can't get case acceptance, you can't learn the procedure because you never do it. So it's like this terrible catch-22 where you can't get case acceptance because you haven't done it, and you haven't done it because you can't get case acceptance. And so there's a whole method around solving that problem that we've built. And we also consult with a lot of groups to help them solve that particular problem as well. Like some of it is the group owner's problem to deal with, which is like issues around implementation. So that's how we work with dentists. And like, I mean, I'm sure you see it in the insurance side as well, where people struggle to look a patient in the eye and say, this is going to cost $5,000 or $10,000 because they just have all sorts of self-esteem issues about the cost.
Yeah. That's so true. I mean, mindset really drives everything else. And I imagine this especially relevant for dentists working in DSOs or group settings, just like you mentioned, where growth can look a bit different. Now, how does RipeGlobal's model help larger dental organizations scale training and achieve measurable ROI?
So there's a couple of things that's very important. The first is like, we're not an education company. We do education. We have built a platform that allows us to get performance for dentists. So we're a performance-focused company, not an education-focused company. The education is the method that we mostly use to get the performance. But if you most groups focused on education, which is the process, and we're focused on the outcome, which is the performance. And that's much more difficult because it's very easy to do what, and I don't want to beat on dental schools, because dental schools have the impossible job of trying to do 10 years of training in 4 years. So they don't have enough time.
Yeah.
So, but in dental schools, for them, the goal is to get you a license, not to make you any good. Okay. So their actual The actual goal of dental school is to allow you to legally be a dentist. It's not to make you into a great dentist. It's just to make you into a dentist. So that's the goal.
Yeah.
Now, once you're a dentist, my goal is to help you go from there to highly productive. So, clinical excellence, higher levels of productivity, efficiency, and also that financially you are successful and also the person who employs you is successful if you are an employee. So with large groups, we have a range of programs that are very performance focused to solve very specific problems. So a typical problem that larger groups have is that they often have dentists who underdiagnose. So they don't diagnose enough, they don't treatment plan enough, and their treatment plans are very small because they are too afraid to tell the patient what is really going on. So with those groups, we have the ability to scale up very dramatically. So we can go to we can go to an organization with 100 dentists or 500 or 1,000. The biggest one we work with has 4,000 dentists. And actually the smallest one I work with has like 12. So actually that's not true. I think I work with one practice that has like 4 dentists and all 4 of them are doing our courses. But the thing is that we can go and go, what is your problem? And they can tell us what the problem is. And we go, okay, we can take what we have and we can build it for you. We can run a pilot program to refine it. And then once it's refined, we can scale it up to any size. And no one else can do that. Like we could scale up to, if you said to me, I need to train 100 dentists in how to do crown preps and how to get better case acceptance with crown preps, and I need you to be able to do that in 3 months' time, I can do that. And if 10 groups all ask me that at the same time, I can still do it. There's basically no other company in the world that can scale performance-based training that delivers an ROI. And then I guess the question is, how do we get ROI? Because we focus on it. So we know that with the dentists themselves, the skills are enough. But with the business owner, there also has to be a return on investment. Now, typically, to be worth doing, you want a return on investment maybe 6 to 8 times the cost. That way, your EBITDA is going to go up by roughly the cost of the course over, a 12-month period. So you get your monies back, basically. For us, that's too low. So we often aim 3 to 4 times higher than that. And, we aim high. We often guarantee with pilot studies, we guarantee it. So there's literally zero risk if you get the dentist to turn up and the dentists actually do turn up and they engage and they do the work. We guarantee that they'll lift their production $100 an hour. Obviously, if they don't turn up or you can't get them to turn up, then that's an evidence of a cultural problem within your organization where you can't actually communicate with your dentist and get them to turn up. So that is very low risk. And also because we don't have big institutes to pay for. We're not real estate. We're not a real estate company. So we don't have to pay for all sorts of buildings and real estate and boats and yachts and things. We only need to pay for the actual training. So our cost, by the time you don't have flights, hotels, accommodation, loss of production, our cost is about 1/4 of traditional training methods. So we get higher outputs that are guaranteed and we cost less, which is why the return on investment is so high.
I love that. I mean, you're not just training or just educating anyone. It's just about performance. You just mentioned. I mean, you're helping the dentists transform how they think about efficiency and scalability. Now, looking forward, technology continues to reshape dentistry at a rapid pace. What role do you see innovation playing in the next chapter of clinical and insurance independence?
Yeah, look, I think that what we're going to see over the next 10 years is this slow transition to dentists scaling up dramatically. Now, let me explain that. In the United States, there is a thing that they don't have in almost any other country, which is extended duty dental assistants. And they also have a large number of hygienists in ratio to the dentists. Most countries in the world graduate more dentists than hygienists. Certainly in Australia, where I come from, they like graduate about 6 dentists for every hygienist. So the hygienists are nearly as expensive as dentists. And pretty much nowhere else has extended duty dental assistants. So this has allowed dentists in America to increase their income over time, even though the fees haven't gone up that fast. Because one dentist can see so many more patients. What I see happening is there's two things that cause growth. With better training like ours, an average dentist, if they really put their mind to it, can become massively more productive. So if you haven't seen it done, you don't really understand. But like from my first year of practice to my 24th year of practice when I moved to the United States, so I can't practice anymore, but my production, by the time I graduated, I was producing as much in a month as I did in my entire first year. So that was a 12-fold increase in production. Now, if you've never seen that done, it's hard to believe it's possible. And you go, I'm busy. How can I be any more productive? Okay, but then you do more productive things, like you learn to do more teeth per appointment, so that you don't have all that lost time with changing over. You diagnose properly, so you're actually doing the procedure you should do, not some compromise because you were too scared to talk about the cost. So that means most of the time, if you do the right procedure, it's nearly always more expensive than a compromise. And then beyond that, I expect we will get more and more AI-driven assistance through, like right now, you can see it's happening already, like with note-taking and so on. But then we will, I know that there's a machine being developed there's robots getting built in France that do veneer preps. There's in the United States, they're working on one that does crown preps, and so on. So there's technology. So over time, then it will be, okay, how do we train the dentist to use this technology? And I think it'll be quite some time before the dentist is not there at all. Like for people to walk into a dental clinic and it's 100% robots, it's more than 10 years away, I think. Don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But, over the next few years, there's going to be machines that basically replace certain tasks that a dentist does. But it'll be still probably likely that the dentist still needs to know how to do them. So obviously, if the robot goes wrong and it crashes, the dentist, it's a bit like guided surgery. You can do guided surgery, but you still need to know how to do implants without guided surgery in case it goes wrong. So that will allow dentists to become massively more productive, which I think will mean that more patients can afford more stuff. That's my crystal ball. Yeah. We'll see.
Exactly. I mean, that's such a forward-thinking perspective, Dr. Harris, and a great reminder how, continuous learning leads to real independence for dental professionals. Now, if anyone wants to get in contact or take action listening to this podcast, how can they reach out to you or RipeGlobal?
Yeah, so they can go to ripeglobal.com. It's RIPE Global. It'll be in the link somewhere, I'm sure. They can go to info@ripeglobal.com as an email address. And, they can reach out to one of our sales team, send me a message on LinkedIn or Instagram. There's tons of ways, and we're at quite a lot of spaces. At the moment, our focus is very heavily on either individual dentists who want to build their skills or larger groups. So our traction with larger groups is crazy. Like we started in the United States 2 months ago and we have signed, I think 6 DSOs in 2 months, which actually to like people paying money. And if anyone knows anything about DSOs, they always say the sales cycle is really long, but we're showing that the sales cycle can actually be pretty fast because we solve such a big problem.
Exactly. So, Dr. Harris, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your powerful insights on how education and innovation can empower dentists to create more fulfilling and independent careers.
Thank you so much for having me, Lester.
So, the key takeaway from today's episode is that continuous learning and mentorship are not just about improving clinical skills, they're about reclaiming freedom, confidence, and choice in how you practice. And as always, this podcast is about taking action. First off, if you want to attract high quality patients and reduce reliance on PPO plans, schedule a complimentary marketing strategy meeting with your co-marketing at lessinsurancedependence.com/marketing-strategy-meeting. Secondly, if you're looking for mentorship or if you're looking guidance, if you're ready to build a thriving people service practice with personalized coaching, schedule a complimentary coaching strategy meeting with Gary Takas at thrivingdentist.com/CSM. Now, both of these are complementary resources that are designed to help you to take meaningful steps towards the practice and the life you truly deserve. If you found value in today's episode, please share it with a colleague or a friend who could benefit from reducing their insurance dependence. Thank you for spending your time with us today. I look forward to connecting with you again on the next episode of the Less Insurance Dependence podcast. Until then, keep moving forward, a thriving independent practice.